Welcome back to the Hoop Scoop Media 2024-25 conference previews. Our next preview up in the cycle is the Summit League. Kyle, what are your first thoughts on the Summit League? I don't think you're too big of a fan of the conference, are you?
No, it's definitely not my cup of tea. Very different this year. Don't even recognize the usual contenders like are not particularly good this year. A lot of turnover.
Yes, a lot of turnover in the league, and we will talk about where some of those top players went shortly. But yeah, the league was 23rd in Ken Palm last year, South Dakota State. They were the highest ranked team in Ken Palm. They were the winners of the conference regular season, and they were the conference tournament winners, getting a 15 seed in the tournament before losing to Iowa State in the first round. But yeah, looking at where some of the all conference players from last year went, um, on the first team, Jamar Brown, he is back at Kansas City, back with the Roos. Tommy Bruner from Denver, I believe he might have been the nation's leading scorer. I don't know if Edie barely got him, but he was either one or two for sure. He
I think you
exhausted.
predicted that too. You were like, "Yeah, Bruner's gonna get his shots up." Bruner's...
Hey, he was getting his shots up for sure. But yeah, he is no longer has eligibility. Frankie Fiddler, Omaha wing, transferred to Michigan State. William Kyle III, South Dakota State forward, transferred to UCLA. Zeke Mayo, South Dakota State star guard, transferred to Kansas. And BJ Omat, North Dakota guard slash wing, transferred to Cal. From the second team, Raheem Anthony, St. Thomas exhausts his eligibility. Parker Bjorklund for St. Thomas exhausts his eligibility as well. Tyree Iheanacho from North Dakota State transferred to Washington, had a brief stint at Wyoming this offseason before flipping after the coaching change at Wyoming. He is now up at Washington with Danny Sprinkle. Isaac McBride or Oral Roberts guard entered the portal but came back. He is a player to watch in the league for sure. And Andrew Morgan, North Dakota State. Big man, he is off to Nebraska. And in this league, we do not have many coaching changes. Unless I missed something, I do not believe there are any coaching changes in the summit. So no new teams, no coaching changes. They're keeping it simple.
Guess so.
But yeah, moving on to our personal All Summit League awards. Who is your player of the year?
I got Anderson Cop of
Okay.
Kansas City. I think they're the best team. McBride's probably a little better, but I decided to give it to the best player on the best team.
That's interesting. I went with Jamar Brown for
Okay.
Kansas City. I think with Cobb, you're just kind of worried about his health, which he's played like what, like 15 games the past two seasons.
Well, that's true.
Um,
Not even just last year, it was the year before too.
11 games the past two seasons. But if he's on the court, he's a really impactful piece. Um, I
Yep.
definitely want to see a full season out of him, and I definitely see the world where he becomes a player of the year. But yeah, I went Jamar Brown. I do like the UMKC Kansas City compared to the rest of the league. So
Mhm.
Brown is the only returning first team member, so I went with him. My defensive player of the year, also a member of the Ruse, and that is Babacar Diallo.
I have Isaiah Carr of Denver, big man. So.
Good shot blocker for sure. And speaking about Denver, my freshman of the year in the conference is Timo Sternicki. Really highly regarded international prospect. Um, not super in on this Denver team this year, but I think he is definitely a name to watch. Maybe someone who will not be at Denver long due to transferring up, but definitely someone to keep an eye on. Not that I'm too familiar with international basketball, but people speak highly of Mr. Sternicki.
Yeah, I had Josh Pickett on Denver, but my freshman of the year is Ben Oosterbaum, St. Thomas.
Okay, redshirt freshman. Yep. Yeah, definitely something to keep an eye on. I believe he was a guy who like was committed to Michigan for like baseball and then like decided at the last moment he wanted to play
He was on our rosters
basketball.
last year, I
Yes,
know.
he's
He
a
redshirted.
redshirt freshman. Yes.
I remember talking about
Yes.
him.
Joined the team relatively late, I believe, last season because of that whole transition period. But yeah,
He should
moving to
have
my
some more minutes this year for sure.
yeah, so well he'll play because he didn't see last year, and yeah, St. Thomas also a team that loses a fair amount of guys, as do most teams in the league. So nothing out of the ordinary, but yeah, I obviously had Jamar Brown, my player of the year, on my first team.
I had Jamar Brown on my second team, actually. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
hmm I have Isaac McBride, of course, for
As
Roberts.
do I. Really talented scorer. I've seen him a few times in person. When Oral Roberts played at Omaha, he definitely pops in person.
Wish he transferred out, but I get it.
He's gonna get his buckets. He's probably gonna work into a decent pro contract if he's averaging like 20 a game, more than
Sure.
like 7 a game at a high
Oh, he'll
major. I
definitely
don't
get an
know.
overseas bag somewhere.
For sure. I mean, former high major guy. The talent's
hmm
always been there.
Yeah. So my third member, I have Caleb Stewart of South Dakota.
I have him as
Really, really
well.
good player.
He
Really
can shoot.
efficient. South Dakota team I actually like this year. I think
Really.
they'll be better than they've been. Like they have a lot of good scoring. They're not always a very good defensive team, but they have guys I like. I don't hate them this year.
Yes, I definitely like Stewart. Yeah, I have him there as well. Um, Another guy in the Dakotas I have is Trayson Eaglestaff, for North Dakota.
He's
No
awesome.
BJ Omat there, but yes, he's still definitely a name to monitor.
Yeah. No, North Dakota should still be pretty relevant as well. I think they did a pretty good job reloading. Last year was kind of like a breakout year for them. So
Mm-hmm.
I think we got our last member right, Oscar Clough, right?
Let's see. Yes.
He's gonna eat on the glass in this conference.
Mm-hmm.
He is quite the rebounder, just really high energy, high motor guy on a South Dakota State team that doesn't have a lot, but I think he can really contribute.
Yeah, I don't know how South Dakota State got him. Like he's a
Yeah,
good-ish big in the portal. I mean, he was nothing spectacular at Washington State, but that's still like a high major. He was a solid starter when he played, and somehow he ended up at South Dakota State.
random move. Yeah,
That's quite the pull by Eric Henderson and Jack Rabbit. Yeah, I had him there too. Kind of interested to see what his role looks like, but he's not like a huge scorer, but
him
he
and
should
Barnhart are pretty good front court.
yes,
They'll be
yes.
pretty good.
He should dominate this conference. At least be extremely effective. We'll see how many points he scores. We'll see what South Dakota State does. We'll talk about them later because still some questions, some uncertainties about what they're gonna look like. But
Yeah.
yeah, so you obviously had Cop on your first team. I had him my second team. Again,
Mm,
I'm really buying into him. Just need to see to stay healthy.
yep. So
So
second
yeah,
team, that's where I have Damari Wheeler Thomas of North Dakota State.
okay.
Team I do like. I think they're probably
hmm
the second best team in this conference, but we'll get to that.
Yes,
Yeah.
I have his team. I have Jakari White
I have him too. Yeah,
on my second team.
he's really
Yeah.
good. Um,
Who? Yeah.
then I have Jamar Brown. Then I have Paul Bruns of South Dakota.
Okay.
Someone efficient scorer. Pretty good guard. I think I watched him maybe once or twice last year. He's
Yes.
someone I like. His brother's on the team too, I think.
Yes. Because he was at North Dakota as a freshman,
Yeah, I know he's
and then
bounced
he
around in the Summit League. Yeah,
yes. But
yeah,
yes,
somewhere else.
has a family there. A few of my second team guys. I have DeAndre Craig for Denver. Um, should definitely be a breakout guy to watch. Was pretty effective as a freshman, solid point guard. Obviously, no more Tommy Bruner taking all the shots in the backcourt. We'll see if that's a good thing or a bad thing for Craig. Definitely could go both ways, but given his production as a freshman, definitely someone to monitor. I have Kalen Gary for South Dakota State. Was pretty solid as a redshirt freshman, I believe, last year. And again, South Dakota State's kind of a team that needs some guys to step up in the backcourt, and I generally trust that system. And trust that knowing kind of how the program has worked, that there will be a guy that really steps up, and
Yeah,
Gary's the
he's
one with
definitely the guy
experience.
that's most equipped to step up. He's on my third team. I flip-flopped him between second and third a couple times, but
Yes.
I had Amar Kilikovich of North Dakota as my last member of my second team.
All
Really
right.
efficient, big guy. Yeah, he's someone that I like. I think North Dakota's a very balanced squad.
Yeah, I'd him third team. Really, really efficient. The analytics like him for sure. But my final member of my second team is Kendall Blue for St. Thomas. St. Thomas, as previously mentioned, they lose some pretty solid guys, but Blue was pretty good last year. He's a consistent scorer, has some good size in the wing. Former high major recruit, a little bit committed to St. Thomas, but had those a few high major offers. So definitely a guy that could make a bigger impact. Maybe get some
Definitely.
more shots, be more the primary option in the Tommy's offense.
I have Bjerke as my guy on the third team. On St. Thomas is my only St. Thomas guy. But no, I could see Kendall Blue for sure.
Okay. I also
Um,
on my third team, I have Drake Dodds as well.
okay.
Was really solid last year. In his second year, really broke out from his first year. Where he was might have been hurt, and didn't play a whole lot, but he was a very consistent starting point guard for them last year. And
hmm
we'll see if the shots are there, but he was very good at what he did.
Yeah, yeah.
Kind of a combo guard a
He is a bit of a combo
little
guard.
bit,
Yeah,
but
he's not
not a pure point, but
for
he
sure.
definitely handles the ball.
So on my third team, I have Markel Sutton of Omaha.
Yup, good shot creating forward, and Omaha again.
Doesn't
They're a
know.
little. I mean, they lost Fiddler. Like they're the guys they brought back aren't bad, but Fiddler was so good.
Right. I mean, the drop off's going to be very sizable.
Yes.
Yeah. So I have Reggie Thomas of North Dakota
Okay.
as well, D2 guard.
The
Uh,
NAI,
oh, that's true. He's
I
from
believe.
Hastings, right?
Hastings College.
Hastings
Yes.
is the NAI I have heard of. So,
Really.
20 a game.
Yes,
Um,
he put up numbers
should
there.
be a rotational guard for them because they did
Yes.
lose Ian Acho and a couple of other guards. So I feel like
Yes.
he'll be in the rotation,
I
probably
believe
so.
he'll probably probably be the starter there. I did not have him there. I had a third Kansas City guy, Cameron Foss,
Yeah.
another solid returner. And again, he's going to put up some decent numbers for what seems to be the best team in the league, in my opinion. Just
Mhm.
some foreshadowing to our team breakdowns,
Yeah.
but
I don't think
yeah,
the top two is much of a surprise. Darius Robertson Jr. is my third member of Oral Roberts. Isaac McBride's backcourt mate from JUCO.
okay.
Averaged some good numbers there. Oral Roberts usually has two guards that are predominant in the offense. They lost that guy to UNLV,
Bedford,
Bedford to
who I
UNLV.
believe came from JUCO the year before,
Oh,
so
ironically, yeah, makes sense. So I guess maybe we'll see a bit of a replacement there. Is what I'm banking on. And I have Kalen Gary as well.
all right,
And
my last guy on the third team was Jackson Money from North Dakota State, transfer coming in from Northern State. He is really good. He almost honestly could have been higher. His team wasn't that great at Northern State, but he is very skilled, almost like kind of like Walmart KD. Like I don't want to make these comparisons too
Dominique
much because
KD.
I don't I mean like I'm not trying to say anything here, but he has those skills.
Really?
Pretty like lanky, big forward, but he's definitely someone that at least fans of the Summit League should get to know because he has some real upside
Yeah.
in
North
terms
Dakota
of like
State should be a pretty exciting watch this year,
yes.
hopefully.
Moving to our all freshman team again, it's the Summit League. We don't know a ton about the freshmen,
Okay.
so obviously I had Tymo Cernicki as on my freshman team as he is my freshman of the year.
Yeah, I do Serban. I Josh Pickett of Denver to just kind of
Okay,
make up
okay,
for the loss of guards.
yes. Um, I have three South Dakota State guys. South Dakota State did bring in a very good freshman class. Because Joe Saylor's one of them. I believe he is actually a redshirt freshman, so not part of this class, but potentially a guy that could step up after you're developing in the program. And then my two other guys are Jaden Jackson and Andrell Burton Jr. Jackson, I believe, was a Nebraska Gatorade Player of the Year. Um,
Interesting. I have him too. Yeah.
Potentially a down year for the state. I wasn't super in the loop with Nebraska high school basketball this past season. But yeah, it comes from a very successful high school program in Bellevue West. Actually, as where Frankie Fiddler went. Side note on that, but yeah, he's probably going to be pretty solid. And Andrell Burton Jr., I believe he's a former Drake commit, if I remember correctly, and I believe he's a three-star on the recruiting side. So definitely a team that maybe has some minutes to offer and some pretty high-level guys compared to what most Summit teams are usually recruiting from.
It's true. Yeah, they're the premier program of the summit, so I felt like they definitely had some good freshmen. So I had two South Dakota State guys. I had Jaden Jackson as well, and I had Stoney Hadnot as well. Another guy there. And I had Patrick Bath of North Dakota State. He's a red
Yes,
shirt. I
red
forget
shirt from Drake.
from Drake as well. Yeah, no, makes sense that Drake kind of dumps into the Summit League a little bit. Yeah, they're not exactly far away.
Yes. But my last guy is another redshirt freshman transfer, and that is David Oyona Ebanzo from UT Rio Grande Valley, transferred to Kansas City, a forward that had some pretty solid high school offers, and definitely could boost the Rouge front court if he's healthy. He was hurt last year, it's why he did not play, but so someone to at least keep an eye on
That
in this
Vaqueros
league.
probably could have used them.
Yes. Moving to our breakout players, though. I believe you had Carter Bjerke on your all conference teams.
Hmm.
And yes, I had him as one of my breakout players. Again, St. Thomas is kind of a school that needs some breakout players, but I trust the system enough to know they're probably going to get some. And with Bjerke, can stretch the floor. Big man that was playing better towards the end of last season. The minutes should be there more so. And yeah, he was super efficient and a somewhat low usage.
Yeah.
Not really low usage, just like didn't get a ton of minutes, but
Mhm. So speaking of Drake transfers dumping into the Summit League, I have Carlos Rosario over Will Roberts. Somebody who I think will get time, ton of turnover. He was a pretty highly regarded guy at Drake as well. So
yes,
excited to see him.
transferred in there from Washington State, but I definitely see the vision for that. He's one of the most athletic players in the league. Despite not doing much at Drake, definitely, yeah. So, someone that I would probably consider keeping an eye on. I had Nate Barnhart as one of my other guys.
Mhm.
I know we mentioned him earlier, but a little bit in a side note,
He's on my
but
transfer list. Yeah.
yes, really efficient, moves well for his size. Yeah, he's not a transfer this year. He transferred in last year
Did he play at all?
a little bit.
It escapes my memory. I don't remember him. But yeah.
How do you not remember him though? He's kind of goofy looking, so
I
I feel like
remember him
you.
from Wyoming. That's where I remember.
Yeah.
I remember all the bench memes at Wyoming. I just can't get that picture out of my head. That's all I remember him from.
Yeah, that's fair. Um,
Those memes are great.
that's
So I have Pablo Navarro. I remember I had him on my freshman team last year.
he
I think
was
this
he was a highly regarded international. Did
he
not pan out
was.
last year, but some people just don't hit their freshman year.
Hmm.
I see division.
I
I
think he had
almost
more
put it
minutes
a little bit.
available to him this year with Thompson leaving and a bunch of their other guards that have been there a while. So I think he's gonna get a lion's share of the backup minutes.
I could see that. I had Jason Petty for Kansas City as one of my other breakout players. Produced solidly as a freshman. Wasn't always the most efficient, but got some good playing time. Showed some flashes as a freshman in Kansas City and should be the top bench guard on the team. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's where I also DeAndre Craig. I think you went over
Yes.
him earlier. He's in my breakout. And then I Grant Stubblefield of Omaha. Someone who had some solid numbers. I just don't really even know what their rotations are really going to look
Yeah.
like. So
I considered putting him here. I went to one game where he was like terrible, so maybe that like um it was the reason I didn't put him on here, but he's a sophomore point guard. There's definitely a lot of room for improvement. I went with Tony
Mm,
Osborne though for my Omaha guy. I think he could maybe break out a little bit more as a scorer. I believe he scored over 3,000 points in high school. Actually,
mm.
kind of in my area of the. He went to high school at like a 1A school in Missouri.
I'm
It's like
about to say
30 minutes from
makes sense.
Northwest. So yes, he's a scorer though. My last guy was Noah Federson from North
I
Dakota
have him too.
State. I mean, he was good last year, but I don't not 100% sure he's going to break out with the guys around him. But I think there's
Yeah.
always room for improvement when he was productive as a freshman.
hmm Yeah, he was my last member as well.
All right, so moving to our top 10 transfers. Number one, obviously I had Oscar Clough as he's my only transfer on my first team. So,
Yep. Then
um,
I had Darius Robinson Jr. too.
number two is where I had Jackson Money, North Dakota State.
Three is where I had Reggie Thomas from
Okay,
NAIA.
I had Thomas at four, and number three, I have Rich Beyer for St. Thomas. Coming in from Green Bay was not great at Green Bay, but was really good in the D2 level before
He
that.
was.
So I think St. Thomas might kind of fit his mold a little bit better as a skilled forward. Yes, but
I have Dre Bullock on here, really good shooter from Niagara. I think he'll really
yes, at,
contribute.
at four, right?
Yeah.
Yes, I had him at six. At number five, I have Brendan Watkins from North Dakota State, coming from VMI, which is obviously it's VMI, but he did put up some solid numbers there. He can shoot it. I think he can still definitely make an impact.
Yeah,
Um,
I had Watkins at six. He's a really good athlete. Yeah.
yeah, so
So
now
I
I
had
had Bullock at
Carlos
six.
Rosario at five. Yeah.
Okay, then Bullock at six for what I had.
Yeah. And then I had Ashton Smith at seven.
Okay, where is he again?
I forget. Let's see.
I know
I don't think he's on a very good team, if I were to guess.
he's on South Dakota, transferring from Oral Roberts in conference. But yeah, he was a high major guy out of high school, so
Oh,
I
he was that center from A&M, wasn't he?
yes.
That's exactly why I actually put him on here last second. He was a good center recruit from A&M who went to Oral Roberts, and then we transferred in conference to South Dakota, which is
Yes,
unexpected,
he
honestly.
did. Number seven, no, I had a guy coming into Oral Roberts as Sam Alajiki. Solid athletic forward, from Cal to Rice to Oral Roberts.
So eight is I Chase Forte from Northwestern State. Pretty intriguing guard. I remember covering him. He's from the D2 level, I believe.
Um, I think he went JUCO.
JUCO, yeah. No, that coach, he had like a whole team full of JUCOs last year, I remember.
Yes, yes.
Sanchez, I think it was, right?
Rick Cabrera, I believe. He actually
Oh,
got an extension like today, I believe, or
oh,
like yesterday. I think I remember Rothstein tweeting something
interesting.
about that. But yeah,
After an eventful first season.
it was his first year.
I know, but
Um, yes. I had Forte at 10. No, number eight, I had Miles Barnstable for St. Thomas coming in from the D3 level.
so nine is where I Cameron Fens. Yeah, the
Okay.
Fens should be pretty productive.
And at nine, I have Meyer Panawam for North Dakota, coming from Tulane, where he did not do much as a freshman, but still, if he would have came into conference last year as a freshman, would have been a very highly regarded recruit. So definitely still trusting the vision here.
Yeah, 10 is where I have Chase Martin to round off my list. Should be solid contributor.
Yes. So yeah, those are our top 10 transfers. And now we're going to go through all the teams in the league, giving a breakdown of them going from the worst team in the league last year to the first, and the worst team last year, according to the standings, it's actually tied for last. But we're gonna start with South Dakota, and I have them last again.
Interesting. I have them third. I think they're good. I think they have a lot of scoring. I think Ashton Smith brings rim protection. There's elements here that I think are pretty intriguing. I don't know.
No one in the summit is like outrageously bad. So
I
like I see where they
guess.
could be like competitive,
I think
but
Omaha's really bad. I don't know.
maybe I'm
I know
just a
you
little
hate to
biased
put them
there.
last. I get that, but there I
South
think
Dakota did lose like two pretty solid guys though in Boston
they did.
Holt and Lahat Tione.
They
I do
were
like
also, having guys like kind of emerge as well. Especially with Stewart. Um, and Bruins definitely scored well pretty much all year. I think he can step up.
yeah, he wasn't too efficient last year.
Bray Bullock's a really good
But
shooter. Fens is a pretty nice big. Chase Forte is a guy that I was intrigued by at Northwestern State. Like he had his games. He is a bit of a
yeah.
shot chucker for sure. Fens is again pretty good big from UIC. Burchill's okay. I mean, pretty efficient shooter. Definitely a good off-ball guy. Um, I think they have a good 8 guys or so that I like at least. I don't know.
We'll see. I feel like
Smith being,
a lot of it is like kind of trusting them to get what they
but I
get
will
back what
say
they lost.
I do not like their coach. I don't think their coach is very good. I think he definitely could hold them back. They don't ever play defense, so it's just
He's pretty new-ish though, right?
I feel like he's been here a little while, like
I think he's only been
since
there like 2
they've had
years
some really
maybe.
good backcourts recently, and they've disappointed. So I'm definitely a bit bold putting them that high, but I feel like there's some defensive intrigue here. Um, they don't ever have a rim protector, so I think Ashton Smith could really help that.
Yes. We'll see though. I mean, a lot of it's just kind of taking a gamble because he hasn't really done much, if anything,
No,
yet in his college career. But again, big body, former high major guy, so at least there's the intrigue there. And Lahat was actually pretty good after not accomplishing much up to that point. So could definitely see how he could maybe do something similar. I do like Bullock as like a solid rotational piece, starting piece, connected piece.
hmm
I don't hate the newcomers. Fenn's definitely gonna have to see something from, but um
I think just even being a 7 foot rotation guy in this conference gives you an advantage. Like there's just not many actual bigs in this conference. One of many bottom tier mid-major conferences that tend to be that way.
we'll see though. I had a tough time picking him last. Like I don't hate them, but um
Maybe if
yeah,
you didn't reside in or if you were in an Omaha-ian,
maybe,
maybe a different
but
last.
maybe. But yeah, next team up. Where'd you have them again?
South Dakota at their
Really? Okay, okay. Um, Next team up, though, is Oral Roberts. They tied for last in the conference
mm,
with South Dakota last year. I
I
have them at
picked them
sixth.
so high last year.
Yeah, I have them at sixth.
Yeah, I'm not really falling for it this year. I got them 5. They lost a lot on a bad team. Um,
Yeah, I mean, I don't
so,
think they're like in a worse position. I mean, Kareem Thompson was solid, and then Bedford was also pretty good, but
mhm.
it was not a great first year for Russell Springman, who should have been better with the talent that he had on the roster. Um, it was pretty bad. McBride is awesome though.
Yeah, McBride. Jalen Miller's the Rutgers guy, I believe, but he's been
He
disappointed.
just like doesn't do anything.
Right. Like
I hate to say it,
he
but he's
runs a lot of
just
cardio.
yeah.
Can't shoot. Uh,
Yeah,
17 minutes a game and you're only three a game, one rebound a game. Like, what are you doing out there? I
cardio.
don't know.
I don't know that like Chase Martin's that much better than him in that,
No, I don't think
but like,
he's really all that much better, but you gotta choose between the two of them, for a backup role. You know, Navarro's gonna take up one. You feel like one of those guys has to rotate in at some point. Um,
yeah, I mean, one of those guys probably has to start.
yeah, you know what? That might be true. Now I'm looking at it. Yeah. Um, yeah, the three spot on this team is a mystery.
Yeah,
Could be Rosario though. Even though he's probably not even really a
yeah, he's
three.
not. He's probably more like a
You think they're gonna start
four.
Alajiki at the three? Or is
No,
he
I don't think
four
he's a
two?
three.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
problem. I
Uh,
think you start Sir Isaac Heron at the five.
yes.
Josh Jones is I don't know much about, but he
He was
seemed.
a freshman last year. Definitely not something to sell all your stock. A lot of
Hmm.
these guys were good recruits. They just like didn't produce
They
at
haven't
all
actually
last
really
year.
done much.
They also have
Mm.
some other rising sophomore transfers with Mathak Majok from UMass, big 7'3" guy, and Jackson Skipper from Vermont. Two guys from pretty solidly coached programs. We'll
Right?
see. Um,
Yes. Yeah.
this team definitely has a lot of talent, at least in terms of high school recruiting rankings and stuff. Obviously, Darius Robinson didn't really touch on him as much, but ranked 51st in the JUCO recruiting rankings. So definitely a guy that can step up and fill the Jalen Bedford size hole, I would imagine. Braden Moore, another guy that was like highly regarded in high school and didn't do anything, but yeah, we'll see
Yeah, I
how.
was really surprised. I mean, I know you were lower on them last year, but I didn't think any of us thought they'd be as bad as they were last year. Like it
Yes.
was a complete meltdown in conference
Yes.
play. And you know what? In non-con, they weren't good either. I won't even.
Yeah.
Usually they're competitive in non-con, but
Yeah. I mean, new coach last year, Russell Springman. I'll give him like one grace year if they're good this year, but if they're not good this year, I don't know how long he's lasting.
yeah, I think he was just, an assistant of a really good coach that, maybe they picked the wrong assistant or I know he was there with the program for a long time, I remember. So he's
He would.
really,
I thought he was an assistant from somewhere else, or maybe because he was like has a bunch of like high major experience. I don't know.
I guess
Maybe
maybe he's
so.
just been an assistant coach for a long time. I don't think maybe
Yeah. I mean, I don't believe he was ever a head coach before.
some
Yeah, he
guys
was an
just
assistant at
aren't
Oral
ever
Roberts for a little bit,
built
but
for
he
that jump.
he was at Texas an assistant for a while under like Rick Barnes.
Interesting.
I don't know. This is prove it year for him.
It is.
Um, next team up is going to be Denver. I have Denver eighth.
Yep, I got them a second to last, yeah.
Yeah, I mean Tommy Bruner was pretty good, and they do no
They really
not have.
overperformed last year. Like I will give them that. They were really
I
competitive.
mean, they weren't like they weren't really that good despite having someone like Bruner. They were
Yeah.
bad defensively. They were
I
bad.
mean, of course, that's what I was about to get into. Like they put up a lot of points. They were really competitive with teams. I remember they took Colorado State to the buzzer on the road. Like they played weirdly good some games. But yeah, they just their style of play is just very well. It's Summit League, like they just run up and down, they score points, and they give up 80 every night. That's basically Denver basketball.
Yes. But yeah, not even Bruner they lost. They also lost Toku Dynamo and
About
Jackson
17
Brenchley, two
White.
other very solid players. Yeah, not a lot returning, but also there's guys that took so much volume that like you're gonna get more out of these guys than
Sure.
what you got last year. I think Craig kind of have to have him break out. Sophomore breakout was a good point guard as a freshman. You're gonna need to see more from him. Now Isaiah Carr, obviously elite rim protector. Could be in for a little bit of a increase there. Um, Nicholas Shugboyno could be someone to watch out for coming in from JUCO from McLennan, which I'm not familiar with. We'll see how he translates, I guess, but over 20 point per game scored there. But there's so many JUCOs that a lot of guys are like that. Pedro Lopez San Vicente, another guy returning as a Otto Ankara, some solid rotational pieces. Good freshman class though. John Monty, pretty highly regarded if I remember correctly. Sternicki should be really good. Obviously, you chose Pickett to your all freshman team, so we'll see. It'll
Where's
be
Minnesota?
interesting. It'll be interesting to see what happens in the post Tommy Bruner era because, like, no, I don't want to say they're going to get better because they lost him, but like some aspects of their game will improve for sure.
Something tells me it's really that coach's style, though. Like it also could be
Yeah.
just they love the run and gun, and Bruner was
We'll
just
we'll
the
just see if the
alpha.
personnel matches that though.
Yeah, I don't. They're obviously not going to be able to play that style this year, but they'll probably still try to. So I worry about.
Yes. We'll just see how everyone looks this year because kind of some question marks on how they replace the scoring. But
Yeah,
next team up is going to be um let me pull it up. Omaha, and I have them seventh. Maybe I'm biased.
they got them last. Yeah,
Yeah. Um I they have
yeah.
good players back.
Lance
They just
Waddles.
lost
Lance
Fiddler.
Waddles is a cool name.
That is a pretty cool name.
He waddles on in from North Dakota State.
Waddling on
Great
in from
conference.
inside the conference. It's going down almost
And you
like
got
a direct
Joshua
line south.
Strait jump ship too, which is interesting. Two
Yeah,
trade.
he didn't
Didn't
play
do
that
him
much, so
well.
they have
If
good
you could
returners
tell
though.
me,
Sud's good. Sutton
sure.
can create his shot.
I
I kind of
remember
like JJ
Osborne.
White.
Yeah.
Um, we'll see how good the JUCO guys are. I think it's gonna be a
Yeah.
big
I was
factor.
gonna
They
say
have
that. Like, is Connor State any good? And I think I've heard
they
of Hutchinson.
Connor State went 34-3. I don't know what competition they were playing, but there are probably
Yeah,
worse
that's
things
the
you can
one
do.
I'm reading
But yeah,
about.
Kamani Cooper, Cameron Thomas, and Valentino Simon. We will see. Omaha, Chris Crutchfield is kind of a guy that's leaned into the JUCO route in his short tenure so far. So we'll
Kind of have
see.
to at Omaha.
Yeah, definitely an area that can kind of give you an advantage when you're not gonna really compete with the big dogs in the portal. Um, but yeah, I think those guys are gonna kind of determine the success. We'll see. Um,
Will
yeah,
determine where that ceiling is for sure.
yes. Yeah, Grant Stubblefield you mentioned, rising sophomore point guard. I also got Isaac Ondikane from Lindenwood. Another big man that could potentially start. I guess we'll just see what happens,
Yeah, he
but
wasn't bad in the minutes he had,
Lindenwood was bad though.
but they were awful.
Yes. We'll see. I will probably be attending a few games, so I'll give you a good scouting report when I
The
go.
annual Omaha venture.
Absolutely. Last year was fun though. I because I saw Bruner, I saw Fiddler.
It's true. I mean, there were a lot of just high major guys or guys that graduated. Like the Summit definitely had some high major products this year.
Yeah, and they set all those guys up. But
Hmm.
yeah, next up, North Dakota State went 8-8 in conference play. I've been better than that though. They're getting second this year according to my prediction.
And mine, they are very good this year. I think they've underachieved a little bit recently, compared to what they used to be. I think this is a good opportunity to kind of reassert themselves as one of the top dogs in the Summit again.
Yes,
See,
and
when
they
I
have
think of North Dakota State, I think of those Rocky Krauser teams, oh man, those teams were loaded. Well, Sam Greasel,
Grizzle. Yeah, yeah.
those teams showing down with Max Asmus and what was the guy from Kevin O'Banner? Man, that was my
Yeah,
first experience of Summit League basketball. I was watching that conference tournament that year. That was really fun. So kind of peaked there, honestly, though.
yeah. But yeah, North Dakota State's kind of a program that you can always count on to be
For the
consistent.
most part.
And I think they'll kind of get back up. Not that they were bad last year, but definitely take a step up because even though they did lose Scunberg and Morgan, I really do like the guys that they brought in, especially Monty from
Honestly, I think Scunberg and Morgan slowed down their pace so much. I think they were honestly more so of a negative as far as their pace goes. And
Scunberg kind of took a little bit of a step back last year.
yeah, definitely. Morgan was good though.
Yeah.
Definitely. He's definitely a Power Five guy. I think he can
Yes.
make the move up. But I'm
He
glad that there
he did.
should be faster pace this year. I think giving Wheeler Thomas and Jakari White more shots, not having the paint be clogged up by Morgan and Scunberg will help.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah,
so
because Moni's kind of a guy that can play in the wing.
right.
Can be very versatile for his size. Him and Federson, I think, will be the starting front court.
Hmm.
And then I don't like what I've seen so far in college from Luke Kasubke,
I
but
mean, he's
he
yeah,
was a former high major guy at some point. I don't think he'll play too much.
probably
Brendan
not,
Watkins, I
honestly.
like a little bit better.
I agree.
Mason Miller, maybe someone to watch out for coming from Indiana State. Good shooter. Maybe has some more chance to play.
I think
Um,
Bath will get some backup forward minutes. I think I saw those available. It's kind of
Most
why I
likely,
chose him.
yes.
So definitely could see something there. Again, pretty deep team, as far
Mm-hmm.
as the summit goes. So definitely a team that should be a lot better this year and should be a pretty fun watch too, I hope.
Yes. Like the returners and like the newcomers. So
Mhm.
can't really argue with that. Like Dave Richmond. So yeah, I think North Dakota State will finish second. Moving on to St. Thomas. St. Thomas was pretty good last year. I have them in third. Don't see them taking too much of a step back, despite a heavy amount of roster turnover. I think they still will maybe
I
be a
think I
little bit
just
more successful than on
see
paper would
them
indicate.
lacking the top end talent this year. I
Mm,
have them six. But then
I
again, a lot of teams lack the top end talent this year.
Kendall Blue could be that guy.
Could be, it could be. Um, they've had a lot of. Granted, I think Raheem Anthony was a little disappointing for me last year. Like I thought he would
I
be
mean, he
top end
was all
guy,
conference.
but he was really productive still, though. Who else did they have last year that was? Uh,
Bjorklund they lost.
yeah, he
Brooks Allen played some solid minutes. They lost him.
Johnny Lee. Yeah, he
Yeah,
played a little.
he didn't do a ton there. This definitely fell short of expectations in his time
Hmm.
there.
Well, I remember he was
Um,
a pretty highly regarded guy.
I don't know. Johnny Tower's a great coach, though. I kind of trust the
He is a
system.
great coach. I love what he's done as a coach there. Easily could overperform my ranking, but I just have to kind of see who steps up as the alpha, and then who falls in. I know Drake Dobbs will fall in regardless. He's a really steady player, really good combo
Hmm.
guard, like you said. Smart guy. And then Bjerke, Kendall Blue, Rich Beyer, we'll see. But
I think he'll be a lot better
it
than he
fits
was at
this
Green Bay.
roster more so than I think Green
Yes.
Bay.
It's funny because like
But
Towers kind of like plays D3 basketball and like D1 and it's working. Like
kind of
they're super
does.
slow, they're super efficient offensively, but they're not very athletic. Like
No, definitely
not
not.
very physical,
They
not
don't have any
really
bigs usually.
no, but they're smart. They
They
don't
value the basketball.
they don't
Yeah.
turn the ball over. They make shots. They take threes.
Good shooting team always. Yeah.
I don't watch G3 basketball, but I feel like that would be like the the
Oh,
stereotypical
definitely.
like D3 basketball. And it's
100%.
working. It's working because he's a good coach, has guys that fit his system. I mean, Bayer absolutely fits the system. I mean, talk about D3 getting Miles Barnstable from Wisconsin Whitewater, average 16 and a half points per game there. They also took,
Wisconsin Whitewater.
aren't they like super good in football?
I mean, I wouldn't
That's
know.
definitely a thing. Like they for sure won like a ton national championships. I
I can
know
just
I'm not
imagine that
tripping
being
with that.
said in like a Wisconsin accent. Wisconsin Whitewater. I don't
Yeah.
know. What a name.
They
What a
also
name.
took Jermaine Coleman from Purdue Fort Wayne, redshirt freshman
Good for
there.
them.
Ben now also returns. We've talked about Bjerke obviously, but yeah, very very St. Thomas team. Even with losing some
Hmm.
guys, I kind of trust Blue to step it up this year, and the system will work. I think so. I had him third.
Hmm.
Moving right along to um North Dakota, they finished 10-6 in conference play last year. I have them in fifth this year.
I got them fourth.
Um,
Um, I really
Still,
liked what the coach did
yeah,
last year. He's been there a little bit, hasn't really had the results. They had a really good regular season last year.
yes, and yeah, I like this team this year as well. Probably going to take a little bit of step back with
Yeah.
the pieces that they lost, but yeah, this is still a team that I kind of think is somewhat on the upswing, maybe.
For sure.
Building off of last year's success, obviously you got Thomas, the NAI transfer, and Panawam, two solid guard additions. And then yeah, Eagle staff, he's gonna be the guy for them this year.
Yes, no doubt about it. Then they have a pretty good front court when you put Kolakovic next to him. The guard room, we'll just have to see. Eli King was all right.
He's solid.
Yeah, can't really go wrong with them, I guess. And you got Dang Meyer as well as a depth piece in the front court. Good start, but we'll see. And then the thing with them is, how are they going to keep getting freshmen in here? That's really, I guess they're not really going to be recruiting a ton. It's a tough school as far as like, getting a 3 or 4 year player. They've definitely had issues with that. So
I
I
mean,
feel like
yeah,
they're going to be a
not
team
uncommon
that,
to any other mid major. So
right, n nothing crazy unique. But they'll definitely be somebody that uses the JUCO route, I think, going forward,
yes,
D2,
they have
things
a
like
lot of freshman team though. They have a lot of guys that we don't know how they're gonna be. So
sure.
I'm assuming a few of those will at least crack the rotation. Also got Darius Woodson,
Couple sophomores
JUCO
as well. I think that
JUCO
redshirted
guy.
last year, rising
Maybe.
sophomores.
I guess I
Those are senior,
don't.
but
Yeah, we'll see though. A lot of guys that could be fighting for minutes that we don't know quite what we're gonna get from them. So
sure. Half the
yeah,
roster's a complete mystery to me, but you know what? We'll see.
yeah. Even someone like Panam is a pretty is cool white mystery
Especially for
as
Tulane. I mean, it's, definitely a random school to go
yeah,
to.
but yeah, didn't do much there though. So we'll see. I'm interested to see how Reggie Thomas translates up.
Hmm.
Um, very very talented. Next team up though is going to be UMKC, Kansas City. The Roos finished tied with North Dakota for second in the conference hot year. I have them first, as
Yep.
previously mentioned.
Got them
Um,
first as well. Yep.
did they kind of snuck their way up into second place last year?
They overperformed. I think their coach has done a really good job of overperforming in his tenure since they joined the
Yeah, I mean
conference.
he's Menzies has not been there that long though.
Okay. I mean, they haven't been in the summit very long either.
They have not. They were in the whack a few years ago,
Right. I mean, so
but yeah.
since they've made the
Um,
transition, they've done a good job, in my opinion. They're getting better year after year. And
mhm.
I think this year is hopefully the year. We'll see. Yeah, Anderson Cobb. Hopefully we
He
have a
just has
healthy
to stay
season from
healthy. If he
him.
stays healthy, this is the year.
he's as well-rounded as they come in this
Mm-hmm.
conference.
Very, very versatile. Yeah,
mhm.
well-rounded, can shoot, can
I think maybe the one thing about this team is three-point shooting. Just looking at raw
Foz
percentages.
can shoot though for his size.
Yeah, he can. And I think Hop is a much better shooter than his
I
numbers from
mean,
2 years ago in
he didn't have a
Decatur.
good enough sample
Right.
size
I
to
mean,
really.
exactly. So, Jamar Brown's a really good creator. He's good on the glass too for
Yeah,
his size.
he can make threes, just not a guy
Mhm.
percentage wise you want taking a ton.
Yeah, I just kind of want to see what this team's depth is like. They do seem to have some pretty solid JUCO guys, though.
Yeah. Gob Gob, you
All name team for sure.
he's actually pretty good. I remember he was like a solid D1 recruit in high school, ended up taking a JUCO route. So definitely someone that could get minutes. Kashim Grady as well, coming from Howard Junior College, and then Josh EJ, EJ, whatever, coming from Casper. Shot blocking big man. They also have Devontae Hall, top 100 junior college recruit, who probably will end up being the starting point guard in the backcourt.
He's from Indiana, so that's a big
Yes,
time.
Indian Hills, they produce some pretty good talent, so definitely could be the starting point guard. I actually like
They
the
have
depth.
Melvin Evan Colley as well.
Um,
Backup center. Mm.
yeah, and then
Good
you
start
got
actually. Yeah, no, look at it.
yeah, I guess they could do a few different things with their rotation for sure. Jason Petty, as I mentioned, rising sophomore, showed some flashes as a freshman. Bobby Cardiello, again, elite defensive guy, just like all over the court.
UMKC's
Definitely,
been a team that's hung their hat on defense, so they're a really good
yes.
defensive team
Mm,
year over year.
the defense is going to be there, and think think the offense can click a little bit more with
I
healthy
think
Cop
so. I really do think so.
would be the hope there.
The recipes there, they would be a team I think everybody would be rooting for to make their first tournament because I think they're eligible now. So
They've been D1.
yeah, I don't really remember them in the whack. I don't know if that's just me, but
I mean, they're not a super rememberable
yeah,
program,
I know.
but
I figured.
let's see. When was their first year in the summit? The first year in the summit was 2020, the 2020/21 season.
Okay, yeah, I was
So that
probably
the
second
year
or
that
third game. Mm.
I guess that would have been the year that didn't count in the terms of eligibility in that year. But yeah, could be competing for the Summit League championship this year. But moving on to the last team in the conference, that is South Dakota State. Finished first last year. I've been sitting in fourth this year though.
Yeah, I have them taking a pretty sizable step back. I have them in seventh.
I don't think so.
I know, you're uh you're always a fan of that program. But I asked myself a lot of questions with this team. Even
There are
in
questions for sure.
um the one guy I do trust is Kalen Gary for sure. Um, but I remember, like Matthew Moores was a guy we expected a lot more out of, but he just wasn't aggressive last year. I just
Yeah,
don't think he's an aggressive player. Like I
I
watched
think
him
Barnard's
play.
gonna start to four over him.
I could see that, yeah. They could do Barnhart and Clough at the same time, and it could actually probably
Hmm.
work. So, Isaac Lindsey's an unserious get.
Yeah, I think he. Hmm. I'm
Come
pretty
on,
sure he can shoot a little bit. I think
oh,
he can play in the Summit.
maybe.
He just was not a fit in the Big Ten, but he was a
Sailor,
walk
I've
on,
heard
so
good
like,
things about. I think Joe Sailor could be a pretty
mhm.
productive player.
Yeah,
And then after that, you just got mystery. Um,
yeah. That,
so
but
that's the
these guys are pretty highly
but they
regarded
are
for
like, and
freshmen,
that's why I
so
said when I put them seven, I'm like, I know these guys are actually going to be pretty good, even though there's nothing about them like anywhere. I'm like, South Dakota State has been the premier program of the Summit League for a long time now. So like,
mhm.
if you're a recruit in the Midwest, and you're looking to go to the mid-major level, they're one of the first schools you look at. So like I did know that they do have talent coming in. I just, I kind of have to see it, I guess, and outside of, I guess, Gary being your number one, there's not really a whole lot other certainties. Clough is obviously a certainty.
Yes.
Um,
But yeah.
Even Barnhart too. Like we'll have to see. Um,
Yeah. I mean, you can definitely trust that Barnhart will break through, but again, he hasn't got the same minutes before that he could get this year. So
I think
much
it's pretty
uncertainty,
simple though. It's going to come down
but
to the freshman.
yeah,
Um,
obviously. Upsides there though.
it is. It is, no doubt.
Henderson's a
I
pretty
think the freshmen they
solid
brought in too, a
coach.
lot of them have good size, so that's something I would do like to see, especially at the Summit League
Yes.
level. I assume some of them are probably wings too. Um,
They need wings
yeah, for sure.
and a point guard as well.
Yeah,
They need everything except for a big man because Club is so
pretty
good.
much exactly.
Um, but they definitely have the. We'll see. We'll see. They have a lot of pieces on the roster.
If you
We'll
want to have
see.
them pretty high, you got to trust the system to an extent. Um,
Yeah,
and I
and
think even last year, to an extent, it kind of took a little bit of a step back. They did dominate the Summit League, but in non-con, they were less competitive, um, and than they usually are. So, I thought that was an
yes.
indicator, but we'll see.
Yep. But yeah, that is the Summit League. We'll see. Yes, very new opportunity for South Dakota State this year. But any more notes on the summit before we wrap this podcast up?
Should be everything. Your favorite league. That and the Big Sky. You have a soft spot for the Big Sky.
I like the Big Sky. I don't like I'm just kind of like in some summit territory, so I
Yes.
respect it for what it is, but I enjoy the Big Sky.
I know you love Joe Craven. I mean, we both love Joe Cravens.
Yes,
You
I
can.
need to find out when he's going to be on the mic this year because he is he
You
is a
gotta have it on your
phenomenal
iPhone
listen.
calendar. Joe Cravens, Montana State, Portland State, primetime game. What a
Yes.
guy. He needs to do Power Five games.
I don't know if like Power Fives are like that
They wouldn't let
unserious
him.
not to let him do it, but yes. Anyway, that concludes our summit preview. Make sure to give us a like on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already and turn on those post notifications so you will get notified with any new conference previews. Make sure to follow our social medias at Hoopscoop Media on Instagram and Twitter/X. And yeah, we will see you for our next conference
Keep
preview.
running up those engagements on the conference previews. I always enjoy taking the time out of my day to respond to comments. So
Yes, well, you give the people content to engage
I
with.
do. I do. I do. Always.
Yes,
That
so
is a
yeah.
certainty.
We will see you for the next conference.